In this video, I show you how to do beautiful panels like this one in Lightroom. Hello amigos, this is Pablo Garcia, the engineer photographer. It's been almost 4 weeks since I uploaded a video. I got tied up with other things, and now I decided that over the next month or two, I'm gonna do a series of videos focused in Lightroom. Different tools and different techniques, so stay tuned. Today I wanted to do a panel, review how to do panels in Lightroom. And to do that, I want to show you how to do it using this panel that I took from Brooklyn looking towards Manhattan about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, a very cold January night. So I took 3 images. Here's the second one, and here's the third one. Typically, when you do a panel, you're going to put the camera in vertical mode and take overlapping images. You know, the tip is you need to overlap the images at least 30% so that the software does a good job on connecting all of them. But this time I used horizontal images. I wanted to cover the whole area from the tip of Manhattan all the way to Brooklyn Bridge. It was a very cold night. These were long exposures, so I wanted to minimize the number of photos that I was taking, so I decided to do it horizontal. So here are the 3 images, raw images, unedited. So what I'm going to do now to do a panel is very easy. Lightroom has made it very easy for us. Is we select the 3 images, we do photo merge, panorama, and that's as easy as that. So now it's going to create a preview, and it's going to give us an initial idea of how the panorama is going to look. Here's the image. First thing you're going to see is a lot of white area on the side. Now, I was shooting these images using a regular ball head. I didn't have a specialized panel head. So another technique tip for you is when you take images, especially you don't have a panorama head or you're doing it handheld, is you need to give yourself a lot of room, because when the images are blended, you're going to lose a lot of detail, especially on the top or on the bottom. In this case, I had all information I wanted. Lightroom has done the merge, and if we look at the right, there are 3 different projections, basically how Lightroom is going to try to use all those pixels of the various images to come together into a seamless image. There is cylindrical, which is the one that is picked in this case. You can try a spherical to see if you get better results. You may get better results sometimes using a spherical. And the last one, and not much change here, and the last one was perspective. In this case, it's telling me there is not enough information to do it in perspective. So cylindrical did a good job. You can see the buildings are fairly vertical. Let's try a spherical again. Let's keep cylindrical. Pick the one that works the best for you. Now, what do we do with all the white area? We have a couple of choices. Lightroom gives us this boundary warp where we can increase it, and it basically stretches the photo to try to blend and cover those areas. That works sometimes. In this case, it did a good job, but I can see kind of tilted the image a bit, so I'm gonna go back to boundary. The other thing I can do is just leave the white areas alone, and when I go back to do the edit of the image, maybe all I had to do is crop and just retain the areas in which actually I have non-white pixels. That's the second area. But some time ago, Lightroom added this new option of fill edges. And what fill edges does is the same technology behind content aware fill that we have in Photoshop. So if I select fill edges, Lightroom is going to analyze the image and all the areas near the white pixels, and it's going to create pixels that blend in. You just saw what it did. In this case, because I had very easy to fill sky and water, it did an amazing job. You know, I fill out the area, especially here on the clouds. It recreated pixels that blended very nice with those clouds, and then in the other areas it did a very nice job. So this fill edges has been amazing in terms of recreating the areas that we had lost. But again, if you can shoot wide, you know, it will still be better. So fill edges is your friend. Automatic settings is going to pick some initial edit settings for you. It's up to you, you want to do it or not. I'm going to turn it off because I like to edit from scratch. And then create stack is if you want to have in your library or your develop panel on the bottom strip, all the images come together. For now, I'm gonna say I don't want to create a stack. And finally, all I had to do now is come to the bottom and say merge. And now it's gonna take a few seconds. You see that it's saying create panorama. It may take 10, 15, 20 seconds, perhaps even longer, depending on how powerful a computer that you have. So let's give it a couple seconds. Well, in my computer, it took about 40 seconds. It's not too long, and here is the image. Like I say, did a very nice job of filling in the edges. I didn't need to crop. There are a few things now I want to do to this image in editing. The original images that I used for the merge were raw images, unedited images. So now it's time to do our creative edits. Here is the resulting image. So let's review what I did. The first thing I did is I edited the image on the left. I crop a few pixels to give it a better composition. On the basic panel, I make the light a little more blue. I wanted it to be cooler. Like I said, it was a very cold January night, so I wanted the sky a little bluer. So I just reduced the temperature on the light. I also increased the magenta a little bit. I did some adjustments to highlights and shadows and whites. And then I applied sharpening with a significant mask so that the sharpening was applied just to the buildings and not to the water and to the sky. We done that in prior videos, so you can watch some of those videos. Now with local adjustments, I did a few things. So let me show you what I did with the brush. So with the brush, I'm going to show you, I selected primarily the buildings, here are the areas shown in green. And I applied texture and clarity to make the buildings pop and attach odijes. So that's with and that's without. It just makes the buildings pop a little more. Now with the graduated filter, all I did, and I'll show you, here's the graduated filter in the area that is selected. What I wanted to do was I increased the highlights and shadows because I wanted these lights to be more noticeable and the water look a little dark. But then I applied negative texture and clarity to even out the water. This was a very long exposure, about 60 seconds, and I wanted the water to be very smooth. So that's what I end up doing is negative texture and negative clarity. Finally, I applied some lens correction to remove chromatic aberrations and also lens distortion because I was shooting around 28 millimeters, so there was a little bit of distortion, and it ended up giving me very nice looking buildings. So here is the final image. And here is the before image, final and before. Overall, this came out really nice. I like how it is easy to do panels in Lightroom. Again, you can shoot photos in vertical mode or do them in horizontal mode. So the number one tip is when you're taking the photos, give yourself enough room because you're gonna lose some information, especially around the edges. Even though Lightroom has given us now some tools to add pixels to those white areas, it's better to give yourself enough room so that if you need to crop, you have that option. Well, I hope you like this video. I'll see you next time. Please take a moment to subscribe. Send me a comment, especially if you want to see future Lightroom videos, and take an opportunity to give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.